Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another webinar session. Today promises to be very exciting. Today promises to be very enthralling, and I'm sure we'll all enjoy the packages that we've prepared for us today. Meanwhile, the webinar, before the presentation itself, there are a few things that would like you to note, and there are a few things also we want to hear from you. So first of all, I'd like you all to go to your chat boxes on YouTube and on Zoom and tell us how you feel about the internship program so far, how you feel about the webinar. So with this time, we just want to write a number 5. Just write the number 5 to tell us that yes, uh, it has been an exciting journey to this point. So I expect to see your responses on YouTube and on Zoom. So I'm excited. Thank you very much, Oluwasayo Akinwumi. Thank you, Wafomutu. Thank you, Williams Aboduri. And while that's going on as well, it's important that we remind you that the stage E ends on Tuesday. So we expect that by now you'll be prepared to take your quizzes if you've not taken them. And for the open source project, we hope that you're wrapping it up already and preparing for the presentation as we uh, earlier announced. Thank you, Jolumi. So for as many of us that still want to send our 5s in the chat boxes, please feel free. There's still we still hope to see your comment, and we're very certain that this feedback will help us to improve more and help you as well through the journey. So as we continue, we also want to let you know that the package for today is one you cannot find any other place, and it's the best. I'm inspired already. So without further ado, I'll just hand over mic and control to our very own Tobiloba Adejumo, who will handle proceedings from here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I am very excited to have everyone here today. Welcome to our audience that just joined the session on YouTube and on Zoom. I am very delighted to have you here today. And as usual, you can use the live chat on Zoom and YouTube to let me know how you're feeling this afternoon. So currently in Lagos, Nigeria, it's a bit sunny with a temperature of 26 degrees Celsius. Now, moving on causally to our housekeeping rules, I know you will have questions today. I am very certain. And when you do, please wait till the end of the session to avoid lag or cessations during the session. You can also leave your questions on Slido using the event code 78455. I repeat, you can leave your questions on Slido using the event code 78455. The time you've all been waiting for. Let's turn our table over to our speaker, who is going to lead a session on Dream First and then Focus. We all know the famous quote by Walt Disney that if you can dream it, you can do it. And although that may seem like a cliche to some of us, allow me to introduce you to a living proof of this statement, who has ultimately risen above all limitations of life because he dared to dream. What are your dreams today? Let's welcome one of the engineers at Google, Biodun Awojobi. Biodun, it's so good to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Avilva, and nice to meet you all. How are you all doing? I know you all can't talk, but that's fine. I will present my screen in a second, and we'll get to it. I see a couple of admits or see in waiting room. Is anybody taking care of that?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. All right, so in one moment, I will present my screen. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay, awesome. All right, just give me a second here. I want to make sure I can see the faces, also see the reactions, if there are any. All right, awesome. So, microphone working, everything working. Hi guys, my name is Biodun Awojobi. I've been in the US for so long. I'm beginning to call myself Bio because that's the word, that's the name a lot of people call me right here. But yeah, Biodun is a very popular name in Nigeria. I was born and raised in Lagos, but I'll kind of go through what that is and everything like that. But I typically understand that in most cases, when you all join sessions like this, you may only have 30 minutes, you may have 15 minutes. So what I've done is to stagger the content. And by staggering the content, what I mean is I have some information that I'll be sharing at the first part, and then I'll do some intro about who I am. And then I have some information that I'll be sharing at the later part of our conversation. So here's what I want to start first with. Before you even know who I am, I want to leave this in your mind, and I would like for you all to take notes. My story has been a story of inspiration, and one of the things that I'm very passionate about in life is seeing other people grow. I was like one of you, I promise. I was like one of you or all of you at some point in my life. And I'm only thankful for where I am today. But when I think about problems, when I think about situations, and when I think about my past, what I always think about is how can I make this journey shorter for the next person? Like if this journey took me 20 years, how can I make it take another person 5? Or how can I make it take another person 6? Well, one of the ways that I try to address problems like that is to come up with a model. And the model that I want to share with you today, and please listen, is core values, skill, and talent. I call this CST. Let me go to the next slide and show you what this looks like. What you're looking here, what you're staring at on my screen, if you can see my screen, is core values, skill, and talent. I call circles like this for people who are very good at math or understand or like images. They call this concentric circles. I have it designed a different way, but the point still remains the same. So you'll be asking me, what do I want to do with this? Now, if you all can close your eyes and memorize what I put here and close your eyes for the next 10 seconds and say to yourself, core values, skill, and talent. Just say it once, not more than twice. Core values, skill, and talent. Let me tell you why this matters. Studies have found out, or studies have shown, that core values are formed at the age of 8 in most of us. So at the age of 8, your core values are formed. But then you ask me, what do I refer to as core values? What does Biodun refer to as core values? Core values are you waking up every morning and saying hi or saying good morning. For Yorubas, maybe prostrating to your parents or your elder ones. You knowing that, oh, when I wake up, I want to say my prayer, or I don't want to say my prayer. Or core values is you knowing that when you see something that doesn't belong to you, you don't take it. Core values are when you have an assignment, you do it 5 hours in advance, or you don't even do it at all. Core values are when you wake up, there's food on the table, or when you wake up, you have your own home chores, things like that. Those habits are formed for a lot of individuals at the age of 8. I'll tell you why that's powerful. When you go through nursery school or primary school or secondary school, or you go through your university or polytechnic or any type of college that you've attended, you go to these places, you attend these higher learning educations, or you come to talks like this, to learn skill. But guess what? When you go to, say, your uni or your polytechnic or your college, you already have your core values formed. That's the way the world has been designed. The skill that you go in there, a lot of you can attest to this for a fact, that sometimes you go to school and you realize that there's this guy that never studies, but he passes his exams so well. He's the best student in the class, but he never has to study. You also realize that there are some folks who they study so hard before they can pass their exams. What's the difference between these two people? The difference is talent. When you have talent, when something comes to you naturally, it's so easy. You don't have to put a lot of effort because it's a God-given skill, or it's a God-given talent. It's a God-given endowment, something that it's yours. Like some people, like there's a reason why Usain Bolt can run so fast. There's a reason why Wole Soyinka has been renowned as a renowned writer, because these skills come to them so easily. Not like you cannot be Usain Bolt, but it might take you longer. Everything that I put in here, core values, skill, and talent, it leads to something. I would like to suggest that what you're seeing here is what I call the secret to success. Let's tie that back. Think about, I'll call a name from one of the names that I'm staring at right now. Think about Femi. Femi goes to work, works for Andela. Andela is a popular firm in Nigeria. I don't know anybody at Andela, by the way, but Femi works at Andela. And Femi has another partner at work, or co-worker, if you will, called Olusayo. Femi realizes that whenever Femi goes to work and Femi is assigned a task, Femi spends 6 hours doing this task, the same task that could take Olusayo 2 hours to do. Femi knows that Olusayo definitely has something going for him. Maybe he started early, or maybe he has the talent. Well, to the managers of Andela, when they look at Femi and Olusayo and they're comparing both of them, they don't only compare them by how fast do you do your work. They compare based on, do you do your work well? Do your people, the people around you, the people that surround you, do they like you? Are you respectful? If there's an ethical issue, would you go to the negative side or you go to the positive side? How are you able to help others? Do you care for other people around you? So, Tobiloba becomes the manager of Olusayo and Femi. And Tobiloba says, hey, I want to promote, I have an opportunity to promote somebody to be a lead. And I have Olusayo who sometimes comes to work, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes might not be friendly with the folks that are around him, but he's purely talented. And then I have Femi who does his work diligently, but it takes him longer. It takes him longer because he has to apply himself to be able to move forward. What the difference between these two personas is, somebody has a good core value, and that's Femi. Another person has a core value that's not as strong, but they have talent. In Femi's case, Femi has core values, and he went to school, studied what he needs to study, applied himself to try to always get better. 3 years later, Femi's 6 hours became 4 hours, became 3 hours, and then Femi saw that he could compete with Olusayo. But what this means to you all listening is, in summary, think, think long and hard. Your core values matter the most. It's never too late to be a better person. It's never too late to work on some of your core values. And I have some examples of core values that I think is very important in a workplace. It's very important to be successful. One is have a good, positive attitude. Be that, yes, count me in. Be that, yes, I can do this. Be that voice. Be that person who always says that, whenever Femi or Lushayo is in the room, everybody is always happy. Be that person. Be that light in the room. I mean, we always have reasons to complain, but hold back on the complaints and find reasons to be thankful and be positive. That is a very strong core value. Be ethical. Show good morals, because your core values are what the people who have worked with you will remember. They will remember your talent, but they will hinge more on your core values. Skill, you can learn that from anywhere. You guys are doing AI boot camps. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff, but those are skill. And if you apply yourself, there's something called the 10,000 hour rule. And what that 10,000 hour rule means is if you do something over and over and over and over again, you get better. I'm going to pause on that. I typically talk more. I have many examples with the CST model, but I'm going to stop here for CST and memorize it. Think about it. Think about, what are my core values? What can I improve? What can I do better at? What can I not do better at? Or what do I need to drop? Think about the skill that you're pursuing today. Does it align with your talent? If it doesn't align with your talent, it's not a bad thing. Not everybody is so talented like that. We have a talent, but we need to find it. If you found yours, you're lucky. If you haven't found yours, it doesn't mean that you're applying a skill. So long as you're dedicated, you repeat it, you repeat over and over again. Focus on how can I be better every day, every minute, every hour. You will be better. The core values is very important. That's the first part of my conversation to you all, or this presentation. And now I'll talk about me. But this is very important for me because when I look at myself and I look at how all of this align, I think it would be beneficial for the audience to start thinking more and more about this image and finding ways how you can align yourself. How can you better your skill? How can you find your talent? Everything is a journey, but how can you do it? If you master this, you're mastering something very special. All right, so who am I? Well, I was born and raised in Lagos. Like I said, my story is like a lot of you. One of the things that I really like I enjoy in life is to see people grow. The universe, when you stare up in the sky, the universe has so much to offer every one of you. But one thing you all have to have is hope. And I had hope and I had faith, and that has brought me here. So I was born and raised in Lagos. I moved to the US in 2011. 2011 from now, that's 9 years ago. But so many things have happened in 9 years that I'm quite thankful. Sometimes I consider myself lucky, but when I think about everything back and forth, it all comes down to dreaming. Obviously, because you're born in Nigeria, you came here. I live here in Texas, and they speak a bit of Spanish here, so I learned some Spanish. I speak languages in Nigeria as well, as many of you may do. I'm married. I'm married to a doctor, and yeah, I'm also a PhD, but we'll kind of get to that. This is an exercise I would like for you all to write, and this will continue to evolve, especially if you're trying to be a certain person. First, if you want to be anybody, find that person you want to become, and look at what the person does day to day, and the chances of you becoming that person will probably multiply by 5. So, one of the ways that I came up with this brand profile is throughout my career in working for companies, working for myself, I've established core values. I've established the type of skill I could offer. I've established talent. And I decided to go through an exercise. I reached out to about 12 people that I've worked with in the past, and I'm like, hey, Jolomi, can you please tell me if I worked with Jolomi in the past? Can you please tell me what are the 3 things you remember when you think about me? I said, you don't have to give me an answer today. I'll give you 2 days. Think about it because we've worked together in the past. So a couple of days later, I'll reach out to Jolomi, and Jolomi will write those words. What are the words that you think about you attribute to me, to a certain personality? I advise that you all do this. Some people might have bad words for you. That's an opportunity to modify your core values, right? That's an opportunity. If you agree with it or not agree with it, that's an opportunity for you to improve and change the perception people have of you. So I reached out to about 12 people and asked them the same question. Hey, what do you think about me? What do you think about when you remember my name? Or when you think about working with me? Or when you think about the last few hours or years that we spent together? And a lot of these words were used, and I kind of put it here. These are my own core values. I like to call myself articulate. I also like to say I am determined. Determination is a very strong word, but I use it very strongly as well. You could be whoever you want to be. I think for anybody to be whoever you want to be, you have to be determined. I consider myself as the most determined person anybody would meet, but then we can all argue who's most determined. But determination is key. If you want anything, you have to be determined. You have to be prepared to work 48 hours without sleep. You have to be prepared to sacrifice sometimes taking a shower because you know you're chasing a goal. I'm not asking anybody to be dirty actually, but I'm saying you need to be able to sacrifice your time, your effort. You need to be able to sacrifice your resources to go to anywhere you want to go. Family is a strong thing for me. I really believe in family. I believe in, and I consider every Nigerian my family. Like I love to see people grow. I love to see ways where I can plug myself into people's success. I'm hoping that the 1 hour that we're spending together here will mean something to you, and hopefully you can take something out of it. People argue around the word humility, but I hold humility very high. No matter how big you are, no matter how accomplished you are, no matter how successful you are, be humble. Because you know what? There are lots of people who have done what you've done before. That you can be the best at something, but there are other people that are better than you. Core values is humility. When people think about you and they're like, wow, I never knew this guy is so successful. Guess what? He's humble. He spoke to me. He spent 1 hour with me. Or I didn't realize he has this busy life, but he still dedicated his time to me. He didn't, when people were insulting him, he didn't brag. He was quiet. Humility is key. I think humility sometimes makes people who don't like you want to move close to you because they're like, what makes you? You can't be too humble. Poise. I'll let you go read up on that word, but it's really on how you put yourself together, how you always kind of get together in most cases. And some people, it feels like every time you see them, they're like a piece of robot. It feels like every part of them is always intact. When they present themselves, it seems like they're always together. That is poise. But yeah, when I think about my brand, these are some words that have been used by a lot of people that I work with, and these are some of the words that resonate with me quite a bit. Right. I want to go to my personal philosophy. I'm introducing myself here, by the way, and it's something that I don't do too often, but I want to let you all kind of know who I am and know why I use these words and what these words mean. Every slide that I go through, I would like for you all to think about who you are and hopefully create something similar to this and watch that document or watch that writing evolve. So my personal philosophy. First, what is personal philosophy? Personal philosophy is something that you believe in, something that you hold strongly, and something that you will most likely continue to do. I always tell people these three words or these three lines that you're staring at on the screen right now. You can predict my next move. You can predict my answer to a question based on these three words. The first one is the golden rule. It's very popular. If you haven't heard about the golden rule, you could read about it. You could do a Google search around golden rule. But the golden rule is all about law of reciprocity. Treat others as you like to treat yourself. Do unto others as you like to do to yourself. Think of others as you like them to think of you. And all of those words like that. Love others as you want them to love you. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you, and all of the permutations that come around words like that. That is the golden rule. Because if you treat others the way you want them to treat you, chances are you will be successful, because people would realize that this guy holds a high esteem. If you don't hurt people, so you don't expect people to hurt you. Sometimes people call this karma, but that is the golden rule. The second one that I hold likely, and I learned this when I came to the US way back. This was in 2012 that I learned the philosophy of the common good. It doesn't have to be your philosophy. It is something that resonates with me, resonates with my core values, and that's why I have adopted it. What is the common good? When I do good to someone, I expect that someone else, you will pay it forward. And what my decision around doing good always comes around who has the biggest chance of replicating this good to a bigger population. That's why I like gatherings like this. How can I replicate a good, or how can I do good and I can have like 700 people, 200 people replicate this good to a bigger audience. And that's why a lot of times people think about leaders. A leader finds someone who can replicate a process that's working and make other people do it. So whenever I think about common good, I think about law. How can I do good and that good multiplies? Who is that fertile ground that I can invest my time in and make this good multiply? How can my 5 hours or 2 hours or 10 minutes become a million hours because I sowed in a fertile ground? And I've read about amoye.com, and I feel like staying on the call with you all is a way to replicate and reciprocate in the future, because I believe you all will become leaders very soon. And then challenging the status quo is the other line. Challenging the status quo. If you haven't heard about status quo is something that is always known to be some way, but you want to challenge that status quo. Like say for example, I was told that you can only do your master's in 1 year, and I'm like, you know what? I want to do it in 6 months. What is it going to take? They're like, no, nobody has ever done it in 6 months. I'm like, okay, I'll be the first to try. It doesn't mean that I will succeed, but I'll set myself up to succeed. So I'm always about challenging the status quo. How can I move the needle forward? How can I make an improvement from what someone else has done before? Those are my personal philosophies. All right. So from an educational experience perspective, like I mentioned, I was born and raised in Lagos. I moved here in 2011. I graduated from my undergraduate at Lagos State University, LASU. My story is a bit different. I started out in chemical engineering. I moved to electronic and computer engineering in my third year. People helped me along the way, and I graduated in 2008. at Lagos State University. And while I was in school, I had my own business, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we kind of proceed further. I had my own business, and what that involved was helping small and medium-sized businesses with computer related issues. I say it very simply, but I did a lot of things that were sometimes I'm like, wow, how did I learn this? I used the internet. But the most important thing is that opportunity, the experience that I had in my third year at LASU, going out, working for other people, and that's a deep story actually, because when you've lived quite a few multiple years in life, you realize that. Now I'm gonna admit, okay, yeah, when you live quite a few years in life, you realize that there's so many stories that you can tell. Yeah, so LASU was where I graduated from, and I spent like 2-3 more years in Nigeria before I then moved to the U.S. When I came to the U.S., I was admitted to University of Dallas, and University of Dallas was where I got my master's. I have a master's in cybersecurity, and I also got an MBA from University of Dallas. Coming to the US, I had skill, but most importantly, I had hope. I had dreams. I had lots of dreams, and we'll talk about those dreams. I graduated in 2013, and thankfully to God, with help of people, with help of connecting, with help of networking, I got Microsoft. I applied. I went through the interviews. I landed Microsoft. But that's an important thing for me. It's an important turning point because way back several years ago, I've always wanted to work for Microsoft. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. I also recently finished or completed my PhD in August of this year at the University of North Texas. And I've been an adjunct professor teaching master's students cybersecurity courses. I think I've taught like 5 cybersecurity courses out of maybe like the 9 or 10 that we've got. And I've been an adjunct professor since January of 2019 till date. That's pretty much my educational experience. My work has been before Microsoft though. I've been doing computer work right from 1993. The first time I touched a computer I think it was around 93, 92. My dad brought a computer home and he said, he doesn't want to work for anybody anymore. He saved up his money, bought a computer and said, hey, I'm going to start a computer training program. 93, not a lot of people knew computers, at least in Nigeria or in Lagos, the area of Lagos that I grew up. And I was fascinated with computers. I spent a lot of time and hours with computers. I realized very early in my life that there's some things that come natural to me. Of course, because we had a computer and there were very few people who could fix computer issues. Whenever my dad hired someone to come fix a computer issue, I was closely watching them. And whenever this computer issue was fixed, I go read up about it. I participated in teaching computer classes for secondary school students, primary school students. It was fun for me. But all of that journey I wouldn't take for granted because I think it made me to the person that I am. Now, I learned very early in life as well that the importance of dreaming. Dreaming is key. I cannot overestimate or overemphasize the value of dreaming. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But at Microsoft, I did a lot of things. I had like 4 different roles in my 6+ years at Microsoft. So I was at Microsoft from 2014 all the way till 2020. So I've been at Google barely 6 months now. I'll be 6 months in a couple of days. So when I went to the Lagos State University, I already had skill and I discovered my talent. I knew I was pretty good with computers. And what I did was I wanted to monetize the skill because I really enjoyed being around computers. I wanted to take my skill even further as well. I wanted to touch enterprise computers because everything that I did was all like mom and pop, one-man business type or a personal computer type scenario. I never dealt with computers that were networked. My first opportunity was through a professor who heard about me. That's the importance of branding yourself, right? He heard about me and was like, who's the best computer guy? Who's the best guy here that can solve computer problems? I'm not looking for a programmer. I'm looking for someone that can actually fix computers. And about 3 people, when he was talking to them, about 3 people said, oh, talk to Biodun. The guy is very good. I'm like, oh, well, he reached out to me and was like, oh, I hear that you're very good. I'm like, yes, I try, but I'm looking forward to a challenge. And he was like, I have a friend. He's my childhood friend. He 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 has a computer that had like an issue, and he's gone to Ikeja. If you live in Lagos, Ikeja has a place called Computer Village. I hope that place still exists. I think he does. And he was like, he's taking it there, but he hasn't been able to get it resolved. And because I teach ECE, he wants me to come have a look. He's like, would you have some time on Friday? Maybe we can go together. At that time, I was in Ekpe. The Ekpe campus is where the engineering students are. I followed him. We drove together. We got to the I saw the computer. I saw the man. It was like, I'm going to speak Yoruba right here, and I'll translate what that is in a bit. It was fix computer. I was like, well, this guy doesn't know that I have talent. Anyway, I looked at the computer. It took about 20 minutes. And I said, oh, I know exactly what's wrong with your computer. If you want to fix it today, I could go right to a hardware shop, to one of the places where they sell the parts, and your computer will be working. I was like, are you sure? He said, how much is this thing? I was like, it shouldn't cost more than this amount. I can't remember exactly how much. Well, and one of my core values is I like to be fast. I don't waste time on making decisions. I encourage you guys to do the same. It's good to ponder, but at the same time, don't waste time to make decisions. When you think that your mind is telling you to do it, don't stop. Do it. So I told him that, hey, I can go get it for you today. He was like, okay, so maybe you want to go now? I was like, yeah, I'll go now. He lived in Gagada. I went to Ikeja, go back, put the part in the computer, and it started working. It was like, wow. He started laughing. He started saying that, wow, but boy, Kiniko, like, and what all of that means when I said, Omoke Kiri, you about me fix computer, it means is it this kid that you brought to fix my computer? That's what he meant. And then he was excited. And he was the one person that maybe led me to my break in Nigeria. So he had other computers that he had me work with, and he worked. I was able to get it resolved. It was like, I'm going to introduce you to one of my uncles. He owns an architectural company, and this architectural company has about they have like 40 people that work for them. I was like, 40 people? That must be a dream. Like, I've never worked with a place where they had 40 people. It was like, yeah, and he said they deal with like big companies to fix their computers, but they're not getting it right. Have you ever worked on servers before? I'm like, no, I've not, but I can read about it. That is the other point that I want to point out, or that's the other point that I want you guys to listen to. It is very important to have the can-do attitude. I think it's a Nigerian thing. We all have a can-do attitude, but be positive about it. Say it smilingly, I haven't, but I can go read about it. If you give me 2 days, if I don't think I can do it, I'll let you know. And be honest. If you can't truly do it, find someone who can help you. Learn from the person. Don't try to rubble them. I saw all of this as opportunities to develop myself, to grow. So he took me to his brother's place, and obviously the brother was like, I hear you know about computers. I said, I do. I haven't worked with like multiple computers like you have at your company. They actually had close to 50 computers at that place, and they were all networked. And this was me, a 300 level student who they trusted in me. You will find opportunities where people will trust in you, and when they do, don't let them down. Be honest. Be truthful. If you need time, let them know that you need time. People actually like when you're honest. So I went in there. I looked at the computers. They said, oh, I'm going to call the guy from this big company who we have a contract with to tell you how everything runs in here. And we're going to leave you to this to manage. That to me was the biggest trust. Other than my dad letting me destroy his computer sometime, that was the biggest thing anyone had done in terms of trusting me. Well, they trusted me, and I transformed their IT in less than a year. It was I never had like full-time access to internet before then, but their company had internet. I was always on the internet studying, reading up, learning new things, learning what are other people doing? How can I introduce that system or that software or that process in this new environment? That ability to always want to improve yourself and improve the people around you. If you do that, everything will work out. I haven't gone into dreams yet. We'll get there. Now, that's a long story. My stories are very long, but that's kind of where I will stop on that one. But yeah, I had multiple roles. I mean, I think I've covered some of the things on the left-hand side, but when I look at under accomplishments, I've got tons of accomplishments. I have quite a few blogs that I've published at Microsoft. I've been part of successful hackathons, the ones that we've won. I recently published a book chapter as well. It was sometimes in July, and it all comes from wanting to work with people, wanting to learn from others, having the can-do attitude, realizing that if you have a goal, you're going to see setbacks, but don't give up. Everything that I have there has so many stories that are associated with it. But all I'm trying to position to you all is have a can-do attitude. I can do it. Or if I cannot do it, I can find someone who can do it and I can learn. And be positive. Smile. Realize that where you are today is only the beginning. But one thing you have to do is dream. So this comes back to the original topic. And I can't spend as much time as I did on the past few slides, but I think I was building a case all the while. Dream first, then focus. When I was much younger, when I was like 5 years old, my dad once wanted me to be a medical doctor. I didn't have a problem with it. I was open to being a medical doctor. When the computer came, I didn't feel like I was going to be a computer engineer. I just thought that I liked computers and I could fix computers. My mom, by the way, she used to be a teacher, a secondary school teacher, and she ingrained in me the values of humility. And it was like, oh yeah, you fixed that computer. She'd be like, yeah, that's nothing. You are only starting. Don't be prideful about it. Oh, I was like, oh, mommy, I fixed that computer. My mom would be like, yeah, that's nothing. That's only you haven't done anything. You have people younger than you that are doing it, so it's nothing. I was like, oh, mommy, no, there was nobody else that could fix this computer for 5 hours, and I fixed it. She would be like, that's nothing. You know what that did? That made me realize that all of my accomplishments are only the beginning. I think you all should have that attitude too. Celebrate your accomplishments, no doubt. Celebrate it, internalize it sometimes. Share with people who your loved ones, but most importantly, realize that it's only the beginning, because that will push you higher. It would make you imagine what the next level of greatness could look like. So back to dream. When my dad said I should be a medical doctor, he was like, I want you to go back to the room and go write down your dreams. Write down what you want to be in 7 years. Put a medical doctor there. I think I did. But when I did all of that, it all led to me imagining. Because when you want to dream, think about the whole concept of dreaming. In most cases, people dream when they're in their sleep, or dream when you're awake. Dream of What can the next 5 years look like? All right, I'm learning Google Cloud Platform. What could I do with it? Can I work with Google? Can I work with Andela? Or oh, I want to travel in the next 5 years. A lot of these dreams, if you feel like you can achieve it, you're not dreaming. Have a dream that will scare you. I'm going to recommend 3 books that changed my life. The first book is Think and Grow Rich. It was written by one of my favorite, probably the most favorite philosophers. Again, I say Think and Grow Rich. It's not really a book about becoming rich. It's a book about how you condition your mind. Think and Grow Rich. It was written by Napoleon Hill. The reason I bring it up is when my dad asked me to write my goals, I didn't really understand the concept of writing goals, but I went ahead and wrote it. As I grew up, as I grew older, we happened to be living in a place where I had a family that lived close by us who had a library. I used to compare my every year, every December 31st, I check my goals, see how far I've moved. And I was like, yeah, this is working. This is fine. And I decided to, you know what I'm going to do next? I'm going to see how other people do their dreams, or how other people dream, and how other people write their goals, how other people become successful. Especially because my mom has always told me that it's only the beginning. You have to aim higher. You have to keep aiming higher. Like, I don't know how else I can aim, but maybe I need some guidance. I went to this family friend's house that they're like not too long, far. They don't live too far from where we lived at that time. And I saw the library. The library had that first book, Think and Grow Rich. I read the book, and I think till date, I probably have read the book like 4, 6 times already. I read the book and I was like, yes, I think I have an answer to dreaming. The book encouraged that you dream. I think you have to dream enough or dream so hard that you get scared, and then you be like, yes, I think I have something going on here. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. You have to dream and then have faith. Have faith that it's possible. That has been my story. Me moving from Nigeria to here was a dream. Was one of the things that I had in my dreams. Like, and when I say dream, it was not dream when I'm sleeping, like I said. It's dream when I'm awake, dreaming and writing it down on paper, writing it down and detailing it and saying, hey, I want to do this. I want to do this. I would like to do this. I want to do this. You can also actually say it in the present. You can say in 2022, I am here. I became this. In 2015, I became that. In 2030, I became this. You can dream in the future. You can also dream in the present and say, oh, I already have this. But when you're done dreaming, read through what you have dreamt about so well. Read it, know every line of it. Because I've done this before and it's worked for me. Read every line of it and then focus. Focus on your dream. You don't have to tell everybody your dreams. Let your dream be to yourself. I don't tell everybody my dreams. I know we're running close to time, but I'll talk about a concept that I developed. I say I developed it because I haven't found it anywhere else. Four years ago, actually, no, it's not 4. It's 5. 5 years ago, I was at a point where I felt like, oh gosh, you've answered a lot of my prayers. I look at my dreams and I see that I'm exactly where I want to be because you worked. I dreamt and I focused. I focused on it. I removed all of the distractions and I was like, I'm laser focused to doing this. Sometimes a lot of people ask that, oh, maybe you were fortunate. I don't know. I wasn't raised from a rich family. Maybe you think that way today, but no, I wasn't. It was hard work. When you dream, you're sending signals to the universe to make provision. Those provision can come in form of, oh, I have this small computer to fix. Somebody who might look like they cannot help you. or someone who looks like they might not, and maybe they can't help you, but they might be able to introduce you to someone that can help you. That's really my story. If you keep doing good and people remember you for that, you're creating you're connecting different people that have a certain energy to wish you well and hope that you become what you want to become. You're sending signals to the universe. They're creating new jobs somewhere. If you say you want to be a CEO of a company, maybe they will create a new job for an assistant programmer. Maybe and maybe that's your path. Maybe that path is your first path that will land you to your next path. Or the universe is making those provisions. The important thing after dreaming is focusing. I'll go back to my story. And I know that I had listed that there are 3 books. The first book is Think and Grow Rich. The second book is Outliers. Outliers is the 10,000 hour rule. Outliers was written by Malcolm Gladwell. And then the third book is what I call Mastery. Mastery was written by Robert Greene. So Mastery was written by Robert Greene. Those are the 3 books that I highly recommend. And when you go through it, it might take a year, it might take months. When you go through it, you would understand what it means. I have a concept or an ideology that says that words are like seeds. I promise you, you might only be able to remember five minutes of everything that I've been talking about in the past 1 hour. But 10 years from now, maybe even 2, maybe even 5, the words will grow in you and become something. If you're trying to convince someone, it could even be your parent, say it softly, plant the seed and watch that seed grow. We humans have a framework that we work in, we operate. If you say words, the words go into your mind, it germinates, you see scenarios, you see things that look like what this person has said, and then it makes sense. So everything that I've said right now might not make sense, but words, like I've already said, they become something. They're like a seed. So we're running out of time. I want to make sure I cover this dream first and then focus. 5 years ago, I looked at a lot of the goals that I've set, and I was like, I think I've met my goal. Let me be ambitious this time. I don't want to plan year to year anymore. I don't want to do futuristic without a date. I want to plan a 20-year goal. A lot of you might be like, wow, 20-year goal. Yes, I said I wanted to plan a 20-year goal. Here's what I did. I stayed by myself for a while. And when I mean stayed by myself, I decided not to go out. I took a vacation. And my vacation really is I stay home and I spend some time thinking of what I want to be remembered for, what I want to do in life, what I want to achieve in the next 2 decades. And I put my pen to paper. I wrote a list of what I want to achieve in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years. In 2015, I actually hadn't started my PhD, but I said I want to have my PhD by a certain date. I wrote all of those goals. I wrote what the goals for 20 years, for 15 years. And then I looked at it and I thought about my current situation. And I was like, I can actually do this. This seems easy. I don't think I'm dreaming hard enough. Then I opened another sheet of paper. It was an A4. I started writing a new set. And then I looked at it. I was like, wow, this is scary. At that point, my dreams scared me. And then I started looking at it. I wrote it to a point where I felt comfortable. And then at that point, I started thinking to myself, I think I have something going on here. These are very solid goals. At the initial point, I wrote them out as goals. And then I started looking at it every day. When you do something repeatedly, you have new ideas. And I was like, I'm not going to call this goals. I'll call this my possessions. Things that I already have. That was the first change that I made to it. What was the second change? The second change was, I heard from, I think it was my mom, who said, "There's power in the tongue. The words you say are powerful. So when you curse yourself, you're doing harm to yourself. When you bless yourself, you're doing good to yourself." I took that ideology one step further, and I thought to myself, there's power in the tongue. The words that you listen to, they influence you. You know what I'm going to do? I know sometimes when I'm driving, I listen to music. How about I listen to my dreams? And this becomes what I listen to every day. I wake up every morning, I record myself, and I listen to what I've said as my possessions. I thought it was a good idea. What did I do next? I picked up my phone. I picked up a book, where I wrote all of my goals that I've written out as my possessions, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this to myself and record this on my mobile phone. That was one of my biggest discoveries. Because what happened next was I picked up my paper, I started reading it to myself. When I read it as my possessions. God did this. In 2011, I became this. In 2000 and this, I became that. In 2050, I became this. I am this. When I recorded it and I played it back to myself, I realized that there were some parts of my reading that felt like I was not confident. That shows that, well, I wrote something that scared me, which is good. I erased the recording. I recorded it again. And then when I got to places where I realized that I wasn't feeling confident, I was bold. I read it to myself and I felt confident. I listened to everything that I recorded and I felt confident. And at that point, I thought to myself that, hey, I think I have something going on here. When I'm sleeping, when I'm about to go to bed, I listen to it. When I'm driving in the car alone, I listen to it. I know exactly what I want to do. And guess what? A lot of my 5-year goals after then, actually all of it has all come true because I was listening to something and I was focused. I don't listen to them as much as I do. Maybe I listened to it the last time was probably like 3 months ago. That kept me focused and that led me to where I am today. I'm going to leave you with a testimony of why it is important to dream. Look at this. I mean, like I said, I had access to the internet pretty early. And you can look at those two tweets. One was in August 16, 2009. I mean, that's my handle, by the way. Biodun Art is my Twitter handle. Look at what I put in there. In December 9, 2009, look at what I put in there. I mean, this was barely a year after I left Lagos State University. Today, I'm working for Google. I've worked for Microsoft and I've had a very fantastic career at Microsoft. That is dreaming. That is writing things down. I can't share what I have in my book. I can't share what I have on my phone, but this is public. You can go verify. That is the power of dreaming. And when you dream, you should be able to do the work that's required. That's all that I have for you. I know this is all like lots of information, but I really believe that everybody can do this. Everybody can devote themselves to this. Everyone can dream. It's free. You don't need money to dream. You don't even need a pen. You're already on a computer. Write it down and do the work. Thank you all very much. And I'll pass it on to Tobiloba.
Wow, wow, wow. What an amazing session. My heart is overflowing with excitement from all the endless possibilities of having the power to dream. Biodun has truly shown us that dreams do come true, and my joy at this moment is beyond the description of words. Thank you so much, Biodun. And some of the comments from the interns, I can see some of them on YouTube. From Zailat, there is power in the tongue. We have another one from quadribello, have a dream that scares you. Now, moving on very quickly to some of the questions we have here for today. The first on my list is what advice will you give to those who have had their dreams crushed because of the environment that they grew up and the constant misfiring that they've had?
Yeah, I think we all have had our dreams crushed. You guys, I mean, like I've got tons of stories, but yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one because I've suffered dreams being crushed, or I don't think your dream has been crushed until you give up. As the moment you give up, that's when your dream has been crushed. Let me talk about some of the adversaries that I've had or adversities that I've had in life. The first time that I went to apply for visa, I was denied. Guess what? I had faith. I was like, they said, oh, it's a story for another day. But I was denied. And when I was denied, I wasn't denied because I didn't have papers. I wasn't denied because I was denied for reasons like, oh, they said I was talking too much. It was really the thing. And I know that's funny. But on my way back, I was like, is this it? Is this it for my dream? I was like, no, I'm not going to give up. When life throws you such curveballs, sleep, think, rise up, and try again. I've changed my philosophy or my answer to those questions over time. When life throws me curveballs, I don't apply for, if it's a job, I don't apply for that role anymore. I apply for a higher role because I know that I'm good enough. That's why I apply for the role. If this person says I'm not good enough, you know what? I'll apply for a higher role because I know, because I have that much confidence in myself. A lot of things that you've gone through in life build your confidence. So what did I do in this case of this visa? Because I think it's an important part to conclude or to answer. I went back home. I thought to myself, I was like, wow, is this it? Is this my dreams over? I was like, no, it can't be. I stayed on the computer. What can I do? They're like, oh, the next visa interview is in 3 months. I was like, no. If it's in 3 months, then I can't have this dream work out again. I had faith. It's something that I used to do whenever I need some form of mercy. I pray. Prayer is you telling the universe that you need people, you need instruments, you need things to help you. I prayed. I didn't only pray. I sowed seeds in the life of people. I go to Nigeria is one of those places where you can find a lot of people that you can give to. I gave to them, and I went back home. I went back home after giving alms. Giving alms is another way for you to catalyze your dreams. I gave alms and I came back. I was the same person that I was chatted to that said, "Oh, you can't get you can't. The next visa interview is going to be in 2 months or 3 months," which would have kind of either nullified my admission or postponed my admission. I went back to the computer. I couldn't sleep. 2 hours later, a new visa interview slot popped up for next week. I went back again next week. I went back again the week after to this visa interview, and I was about to talk and said, "Oh, I gave them all my papers. I don't know what happened. I'm here again because this is my dream." I was telling the visa consular, and the visa consular said, "Just keep quiet. I see here that you talked too much last time. Just keep quiet." And he was like, "Your visa has been approved. By the way, my brother is the dean at the University of Dallas." It was like, say hi to him when you get there. That is dreaming. Remember when I said that the universe will make all of the provisions that's required? And that was exactly what the universe did. Puts me in touch with someone who his brother was the dean of the university, or his in-law, I think was what he called it. There was a setback, but I tried again. I had faith to show how bad I wanted it. And I felt like I could move anything with faith. When your dreams are crushed, don't give up. I said this earlier too. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I was not born with a silver spoon at all. You have to learn to save. You save money. You do all that's required. You let people know where you want to go, especially people who support your cause. Yeah, that's my answer. Did I answer all the questions that he asked? Maybe I didn't. If there's anything missing, let me know.
Yes, I'm certain that you did. And this also reminds me of a quote: when the student is ready to learn, the teacher will appear. We have another question here from John. So John is asking, in most times in dreaming, I limit my imagination because I get scared that if things don't work out like I imagined, I'm gonna be hugely disappointment. What can you say about this?
Yeah, that really, when you limit the scope of your dream, I think you may be doing yourself a disservice. Dreaming is free. Even in God's books, you hear words like "ask and I'll give unto you," "seek and I would answer." It is a natural law. When things don't work, though, I don't want to be all positive here. When things don't work, you might want to reassess. You might want to reassess and say, okay, why are things not working? Have people around you that you trust that can give you constructive feedback and say, I think you might want to try this a different way. I think you might want to do this in a different route. Have people around you would be one of my comments to that. But don't limit your dreams, because as you grow older, your brain is so busy, you don't have as much time to dream. I really wished I dreamed harder than I did years ago. I wish that I was way more ambitious, because I can only imagine maybe where I would be today. So don't limit your dream, and find people around you. Find mentors, find counselors, find people who have done some of the things that you want to do, and watch them. You don't need money from them. Watch them. Or be at their understudy. When does this guy wake up? Whenever this guy is presented with a problem, how does he approach the problem? That teaches you how you can also approach the problem. Are there any other questions?
Yes, thank you, Biodun. So it looks like we are past our time already. So I'll try and conflate the questions together.
Hmm.
So there is one on Zoom, and this is from Jolomi. Is it possible for one skill to eventually become a talent? And another one is from a candidate on YouTube and is asking, you've reignited my childhood dream of becoming a professor. How do I keep this focus?
Yeah. So to the first question, is it possible for skill to become talent? This is my opinion. I don't think so. We all have our talents. Is it possible for someone that has skill to be better than someone that has talent? Yes. Even if it's a talent, you have to nurture the talent. You have to maybe go to school, take courses. But if you have the right core values, your skill can be better. You can do work way better, way faster than the person who has raw talent. Usain Bolt, if he doesn't train, if he doesn't go to the gym to train and all of that, somebody will be able. There will be tons of people that can run faster than him and defeat him at competitions, and it's happened before. So there is talent and there is skill. Skill, hard work, dedication, humility, focus. Those are the things that raise that up. For talent, it's God given. God gave you the talent. There's some people, they write with their left hand. They can write musical chords. They can do a bunch of things. And there's some they write with their right hand. It's similar to saying that can you write as good with your right hand as you can with your left hand? Yes. Do you have to practice? To the other question, I've ignited the dream of you wanting to be a professor. I'm glad I could do that.
How do I keep this focus?
How do you keep the focus? It goes back to dreaming. You dream first. Dream of, let me give you an example of what you can dream. Dream of you being a professor of a class that has number of pupils. Imagine, dreaming and imagination are kind of linked. Imagine that this class has AC. Imagine that this class has an actual window. Imagine that the students in your class are dressed a certain way. Create that image in your mind. And when you create the image, keep thinking about it every day. Write it down on paper. Those are the things that I've done. You can dream that, oh, I want to teach in multiple countries. That's another form of imagination that you can put into your dream. Oh, I want to teach in multiple countries. Imagine yourself being on a plane, talking to someone on your side and telling this person that, oh, I'm going to Germany. I'm going to teach them this. Have a topic in mind. It might not end up to be that topic, but create all of those details because it gives you something to focus on. Because if you have something to focus on, you're going to be alive. They say a man starts dying, and when I say a man, I mean a woman as well. A man starts dying when you stop dreaming and when you stop having hope. So that's what I would do if I were in your shoes. I'd write it down, focus on it, modify it. Maybe you may start out saying that you want to teach in Nigeria. Maybe you may be the US. Maybe it might be multiple countries in the world. Create that future for yourself.
All right. Thank you, Biodun. So the last question is on Zoom, and this is from Toluwanimi. And I think you've also addressed this, but let me read the question. What is the difference between dreaming and setting goals? We are usually encouraged to set realistic goals, but it seems we can dream beyond our imaginations.
Yes. I think a lot of times when you've worked with people who maybe have given up on their dreams, they say, oh, be realistic. It's not possible. I don't want to tell you that it's possible or not possible. Obviously, it's worked for me. What I will go back, I will answer your question. But what I would say is when you think about goals, there has to be a baseline. You know how to use a computer today. So you are taking an inventory of where you want to go. How can you possibly get there with what you have today? You can use a computer. Maybe you know some coding. You have some coding skills, or you have some type of raw talent that you want to discover. Then you can build on it to position your dream to where you want to set it to. Use your current where you are today as a benchmark to position it. From your benchmark, you can position a goal that may seem to you realistic, and then have that next layer of what could be imaginary. And one of the ways that I get inspirations to have my imagination reignited is when I go out and I stare at water. Some people, they might be in a noisy area. That's where they're able to come up with something good. But I go to a place and I see water and I can write. So you all can do multiple things as well. But that is what I would recommend to you. And did I answer all the questions? Or did I answer that question completely?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
And last question here, I'm going to take all of them together because we are way past our time already. So what is your typical day like? Can core values change over time? What motivates you? How do you deal with being overwhelmed? And the last one from your story, I feel everything you touch turns to gold. How do you learn so quickly?
Yeah, core values change over time. That's
Okay.
true. I mean, I feel like that's another topic or maybe another story. Yeah, there was a time where my core values was I wanted to buy enough stocks so I can have 60,000 every month. So I was working hard to that goal. And all I cared about was being able to go to Tasty Fried Chicken as many times as I could. They were not my core values, but they were some of the things that were driving me to do what I want to do. There was a time where money somewhere landed on my list of core values. But the thing you realize about life is as your life keeps getting better, you start finding a purpose. We all have a purpose. We all can find a purpose. There are times where there's so many things that you're trying to catch, but you've caught enough that you move to the next level. And then at that next level, you assess yourself. What is this thing that really drives me? What do I care about? I've found for a long time that I have a passion for service. I have a passion for serving others. I have a passion for seeing people grow. It is something that is really big for me. And especially because I think the world is big enough for everybody to be happy, to be successful. So the more life keeps getting better and it seems like things are going better, I I keep realizing that how can I make every other person see what I'm seeing and have hope as I'm having hope? So what drives me? You say it seems like everything that I touch turns to gold. Well, it's not me. It has to be a power above that's also helping. I, I wouldn't put it all on me, but I would say that over time I've had people who have encouraged me with words, encouraged my hard work with maybe money, encouraged my hard work with gifts, encouraged my hard work with letters. I've received letters from people that I would be like, oh my goodness, I look up to you so much and you wrote me a letter, those have felt like encouragements to me. What those encouragement build my confidence. The thing is, if you feel like you are not limited, if people make you feel like you're not limited, the chances are you will be able to do more. When setback hits you, you bounce back. Almost a year ago, I went to defend my proposal for PhD. My professor said that I was not ready. I thought that I was going to finish at that time. I thought I was going to go record of less than 3 years or almost 3 years. I was crushed. I went back home. I slept for at least 12 hours. Not because I couldn't wake up, it was because I didn't want to wake up. That was a moment, that was a low moment for me. Not everything I touch turns gold is what I'm trying to show you here. But you know what? When I woke up angry with a clear head, but I was angry. I was like, you know what? Why did I even do this? I am not going to give up. That point, I felt like I was going to give up. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to give it what it takes. I'm going to meet with everybody, find out exactly what they want, and show them that in this time frame, I can do it. So I had a reinvigorated focus. You need people around you. Find people who give you confidence. If people don't give you confidence or put you down, you might want to stay away because it all comes down to here. The power of this is what has created Tesla. The power of this is what has created everything Google has created. The power of this is what sent humans to the moon. Somebody thought it was possible. They didn't have everything that was required, but they started from somewhere. But people were encouraging them. The American system encourages them. The media encourages them, and they felt like, you know what, these people are hyping me so much. Maybe I can actually do it. Let me keep trying. And they tried, they failed, they tried, they failed, they tried, they passed, they tried, they failed again. That's how it works. So yeah, not everything that I touch turns to gold. I hope it. I wish it is. I mean, and I'm hoping that giving back sometimes makes things look that way. Well, yes, I hope that answers your question. Everybody has had adversities. You have to pick yourself back up, find people around you who encourage you, and do the hard work. What's my typical routine like in a day? It's like this. I wake up. I have a list of tasks to do. There's a concept that there's an ideology that I follow that says that there are different types of people, and this is no shade to anybody on this call. This is purely fact. There are different types of people, but yeah. So think about a situation where you go to an office for You go to an office to meet your uncle, and your uncle was not in, so they asked you to stay in a room. Mr. A, who was asked to stay in the room, went into the room, saw a blank piece of paper and a pen on the table. There was only one chair that was in that room, and then also saw a box of pizza that was hot. Mr. B also went to see their uncle, saw the same exact thing. Mr. A would see the piece of paper, and he knew he's going to have to wait for at least 1 to 2 hours, and picked the piece of paper, picks up the pen, and starts writing before the uncle got back. So start writing their thoughts or what they want to do next in 2 days, or what they've just done, or an assignment. And Mr. B may decide to eat the pizza because he doesn't know what to do with the paper. What does all of this mean? Let me tell you what it means. You have to have a self-starter attitude, or you should aim and strive to have a self-starter attitude. One of the things that I've noticed about winners is you create your own future. You have an engine that runs inside you. When you look around, you're finding opportunities, and you're not only seeing the opportunities, you're acting on it. It's by picking up the paper and writing your dreams, and not focusing on the food that's only temporary. So I find work to do. I find what else can I be doing? I ask myself that every day. If there's a common question that a lot of my friends say that I ask that sometimes annoys them is, tell me what I can do to be better, because I want to be better every day. Have that attitude as well. So that's a summary. What do I do every day? I find something to do. I find something to do that gets me closer to my goal or to my dreams. I hope that answers the question that you just told me, to Lover.
Yes, it does. So it looks like we've covered a lot of questions. Is there anything that you'd like to say before you final wrap up?
Guys, don't give up. Don't give up. Dream, 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 dream. I promise you guys, like, don't give up. I really mean this. And I'm smiling because I truly believe it. Like, we are, I think Nigerians and people that I've met in Africa. I've been to Nairobi before, and I think I've been to Ghana. Nigerians are one of the most talented people that I've met. We are smart. We can be India for IT. We have so much to offer. Don't let the government push you down. Create your own future. Create your own destiny. Push yourself. Write your own future. And don't let the environment push you down. Focus on something that you can achieve and build on it. The world would know you. The world will recognize you. You can create as much as you want. There's wealth in the world to be made, but you have to start from dreaming. Don't limit your dreams. Please don't. That's the only thing that I would say. Don't limit your dream and work hard. Have a positive attitude and be humble. Be truthful. Let people have a brand of you that attracts goodness. That's the last thing that I like to call out.
Create your own future, write your own future. There is wealth in the world to be made. Awesome. Thank you so much, Biodun. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you for being here today, and we apologize for spending more than the allotted time. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you another time. Bye.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.